podcast going. We are live. Tell you, man. Tell you. Life. Stay pushing through, man. I'm telling you. That's what you gotta do. Whatever obstacles in front of you at the beginning of the day, you have to push through. To see the beauty that is within that day that you have been given, you have to push through in order to see what beauty beholds in that day that you were given. Period. You know, the relationship with me and my mom been developing flawlessly, and I am more than thankful for it. You know, more than thankful for it. And you see, that's one of the things. Is today, you know, I've been feeling really lethargic. You know, that could be due to, you know, the summer heat and all that stuff. You know, some previous obstacles that have been faced on previous days. You know, sometimes those obstacles that you have surpassed, you might still be battling like old mentality that wants to be expressed. So, you know, having to overcome that hill. You know, and that's basically when your supportive group of friends comes in handy. You know, shoot, I don't even know if that's gonna make it. Yeah, let's make it. It's gonna make it. Let's make this. I'm already on the road. Let's just make it. Or I fucking could turn around. Shit. Let's just be fucking safe. I'm just gonna turn around and go to the gas station. I don't want to chance it. Because I'm already freaking tired as heck. But, you know, so I'm gonna be safe. But, you know, you might have faced some obstacles in the past that might have a little backlash on you a little bit because, you know, the old mentality that you used to be wants to be expressed. But the thing is you got to overcome that and not allow it to happen. So with you constantly holding it back, you know what that's going to do? You're developing yourself to be a part of the progress that you want to achieve. You know, you have to force it. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to break the old mentality each and every time until it no longer even has a spark. You know, that's just how it is. So, you know, there's been some obstacles where, you know, I've wanted to be belligerent. I've wanted to put so-and-so in their place, you know, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, back in the day, I never cared. You know, I never cared. If I had something I wanted to express, I wanted to express it to you, I'd say it. I'd say it to you. I'd want to see your reaction, see how you react to it, because I know you ain't going to react to nothing. Because at the end of the day, no one wants confrontation. But see, I had no problem being the confrontation at the end of the day. As long as I was getting peace in my brain, in my mind, I didn't care. You know? And that stems back from, you know, upbringing, school life, when you just dealt with bull crap over and over and over and over and over and over again, you get to a point to where you have been depleted so much where you're getting sick and tired of it, So old mentality me had no problems, confronting what needed to be confronted. And that's what I deal with now. Sometimes, you'll be put in an obstacle where you want to be belligerent, where you want to confront, where you want to put someone in their place, where you want to see the reaction, where you want to see them cowered down before you, just basically showing complete vulnerability with how you have handled whatever it was, how you have handled it with such confidence to the person, and they don't even know how to even respond, to even begin, or they can't even correspond to how they should respond to what you have just brought to the table. I used to feed on that stuff. I used to feed on it. And if they showed any form of intimidation at all it would do is just bring more of a rise out of me. I was belligerent. I was very belligerent. And when it comes to breaking that cycle, it can be tough. Especially when you want to, express. But one thing that I have found out, what you're wanting to express, you're reacting to something that's completely out of your control. You're wanting to respond in such a belligerent form to something that has nothing to do with you. You are projecting how you want to feel in that circumstance. You're projecting what you want to feel or what you think is true. But at the end of the day, you can't control how someone responds to you. You can't control how someone else responds to anything. So therefore, at the end of the day, you need to back up. That's one thing you got to realize, is belligerence, it does not solve anything. All it does is make you feel big, high, and mighty temporarily. But guess what? The next day, you're probably going to feel like crap. The day after, you're probably going to feel like crap. And there might be days where you reflect on it, when you have grown, and you look at yourself and see what you did to that person by making them appear so vulnerable to something that they didn't even want you to even react like that, because that was not their intentions at all. But since you have twisted it to what you wanted it to be, you now made the situation completely worse for that other person. You literally destroyed an innocent life in the making due to a predicament that was something that was completely out of your control. Alright, let's fill this tank up. Because I'd rather make it home safe with all gas in my tank. Oh man, they updated this gas station. Sheesh. Yeah, I'd rather just make it safe than not safe, Frick. Alright. Gas station runs as part of the podcast, so let me fill my tank up real quick and then I'll proceed. All right, and the podcast is back to being live. So let's get this bad boy going. So yeah, let's get this podcast rolling. But yeah, so you're gonna deal, with stuff like that. Where you want to go back to how you used to react to things, because that's how it used to be, and that old mentality used to bring you so much comfort back in the day. But you gotta remember that comfort, that form of actions, how you used to express, which was basically belligerent, you need to remember it didn't make you feel any better. It just made you feel like shit later on down the road. And, so, with overcoming, how you used to be, and I think that is, nope. Sorry, that's one of my things I do not want to do. Nah. But, yeah. But, yeah. So, when you're on the process of changing, you're going to attract different. You're going to attract the difference. You're going to attract, completely different when you're on the right path and everything. And with attracting, the correct form of things that are on your path, it's going to appear very different. And that's one thing that you got to keep putting into check is these are different experiences. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to these type of experiences that I'm attracting. And you got to keep reminding yourself that. And you got to keep informing your old mentality that this is not necessary. This is a very foreign obstacle for me, And you can't react with your old mentality. Because if you react to your old mentality, well, guess what? You're going to attract what you used to attract because you just butchered your progress on attracting better. With attracting better, you got to adapt to the change that you are attracting. You want to attract the change. You want to attract the difference of what you want to attract the difference than what used to be, Say, for example, you grew up in an environment that was not very good, so therefore you were always attracting not good because you were so prone to that environment and you didn't change anything about you. You didn't become the difference within that environment. So with you not becoming the difference within that environment, all you do is attract the environment or worse, or a far more worse form of that environment, But with coming to progress, you have to keep your old mentality at bay, and you got to keep it there, That way it can just eventually just vanish because you haven't used that mentality in so long, and it don't feel the need to be alive, basically. Sure, it might always be in the back of your head, but at the end of the day, you don't have to acknowledge any of it. Because I'll tell you this, I remember, when I was in the very beginning times of getting help, and I remember being very vocal, very, very vocal. I remember, let's say, for example, if I was in a situation where, someone just put me in a severe depressive episode because of my reactions to what was being brought to the table. My reactions to what they brought to the table put me in a severe depressive episode after that predicament, And so basically, in the very beginning, my caseworker was working with me with, adapting to change in my schedule and change in my routine. Because when it came to change, my mind would go completely bonkers and just be all sporadic. I wouldn't be able to adjust, basically. And I remember there was this one woman I had a thing for. And, we talked all the time. And we even hung out. Me and one of my friends that I was helping out. And her. And we had a blast and everything. It was fun. And, but when I started to develop feelings for her, I literally asked her, we should do something. We agreed we were going to go to that bar, like the Rook and Pawn. It's where they do board games. You can just pick a board game and chill, play board game, get coffee, blah, blah, blah. And, it was exciting. I was looking forward to it. But the thing is, she ended up not showing. She ended up just ghosting, basically, completely. And, and the thing was, at that time, this was when I was a simp motherfucker. Number one, never be a simp. I put a lot of high expectations in this person, so I was thinking higher than what I should have, Number one thing in life, you don't want to think highly of anybody. You want to think them as normal human beings just like you, Now, of course, looking back on the obstacle, I can inform you that her reaction to it was, that's her reaction to going out. That was all on her. It had nothing to do with me. That woman had her own mental battle as well. But the thing is, back in them days, simp motherfucking me, I went into a severe depressive episode on hours on end that day because, we agreed to a set plan, and with that set plan not going out correctly like it was supposed to, I responded. And with me responding, I chose to respond in a way that inflicted damage on me. And then, of course, when I'm in the depressive episode, I also have my manic moments where I just didn't give a fuck about anything, So, I texted her, sent her all kinds of belligerence, just basically explain, with you decided not to come, that put me this to feeling like this, what happens when I feel like this, and then I'll just dumb it down even more, just break it down even more, just breaking down my choice of doing, just putting myself in a down spiral mentally, and then just basically venting to everything that's in my head and everything, and just telling them where it's putting me mentally right then. You know what that's doing? Not only is that making you feel like crap, but you're also inflicting unwanted pain on an innocent person. They don't want to hurt you. That's why they didn't show up. It has nothing to do with you, but it has all to do with them. Of course, looking back on that situation, I could have done a lot different, but I was also learning, I was getting help, and that was one thing that she responded to my text, she was very hurt from what I said, and half the time that was my plan. Anytime when I was in belligerence mode, I didn't care if I hurt you, I had no empathy, I didn't care, that was a big problem, All that matters is that I got what I needed to get out. However you chose to respond to it is how you chose to respond to it. but just know that I got what I needed to get out. So here it is. Whatever it does to you, I don't care. That was basically my mentality back in the day. Of course, I've healed more since then. I've changed a lot. And now I understand that when people respond to things, that's more on them than it is you. It has nothing to do with you, So therefore, it really don't need a response from you, because if anything, you're going to be adding more damage to whatever wound that person may have, and it's going to be unwanted and unnecessary because that wasn't their intentions in the first place. Everyone has a battle going on, and that's the thing. When it comes to being in your 20s, everyone in their 20s is in a battle. Everyone is healing from past traumatic experiences through their upbringing, through their childhood, through their school life. In the 20s, that's where all that backlash is coming in. So basically, when you're coming on to a point where a lot is acknowledged within yourself, it creates a lot of pain at first, because that's your body's way of, punishing you for neglecting it for that long. You got to tough it through. You got to face it. You got to fight it, But see, that's where a lot of people in the 20s mess up. They find out about alcohol. They find out about pills. They find out about drugs. Oh, my 21st birthday. Woo! Yeah, woo! Just finding ways to mask that pain and continue to run from it. Whereas if you just put in the time and the effort, for the amount of time that you have neglected yourself, you would be completely better and healed. You would be fully healed. But the thing is we live in a society where it's okay to just add more to the wound. You'll take care of it later. Okay, but you got to remember that time adds up. So, you've done neglected yourself through elementary, middle, and high school because you were listening to whatever your parentals and your guardians and, your elders in general, your group of friends maybe. You were influenced and enabled by others, all of your upbringing, basically. You hardly had a say in anything, because anytime you said anything, it was going to be corrected and nipped into someone else's liking. So basically, we are all raised to be a people pleaser. But the thing is with being a people pleaser, you completely neglect yourself in the process. And that is why in your 20s, when it's time for adulthood to kick in, and when we finally leave, the environment that we were around, that's when our body wants to get revenge for you neglecting, because it's like, oh, now you want to depend on me? Now you want to look within me? Now you want to be there for me? You've neglected me for 18 years, 19 years, 20 years. You got to deal with the backlash and just take it on head on. Just deal with it. It's going to hurt at first, but eventually it gets numb. And as it gets numb, you develop more senses, You develop more empathy because you have battled it out. You start to develop a lot of that stuff that was lost in the process, So that's why when you're in your 20s and say you're trying to date and stuff, it's not going to work, People are still needing healing, but a lot of those people are choosing to run away from what needs to be healed and just add more to the wound while they're in their 20s, And then when you get into a habit of adding the wound to the 20s, well, then say they hit 30. Oh man, I'm getting a little too old for this. But I feel like I can still do it though. Maybe I'll just limit myself and just try to be more mature with it and be more in control. But the thing is when, yourself wants to get onto you for neglecting it for 30 years now, and you just want to you're going to have a lot of dark nights, which is going to want to inflict you to go back into what you're trying to control. So then you're going to have good weeks where you've had it under control, and then you're going to have bad weeks where you just kept relapsing and going back into the addiction process and running away from yourself. And then sometimes those weeks will turn into months, and then you'll be back on track again. But then it'll end up repeating because you're constantly in a battle, because the battle has become tougher, because you have neglected yourself even longer. Now, that is why it is best to just deal with it in your 20s. Just deal with it in your 20s. Because you have that energy to take on the battle, just to heal from it. All you got to do is put in the years of work within yourself to make up for the neglect that you did to yourself in order to heal. It's not going to happen overnight. But majority of the 20-year-olds and stuff, they're running away from it. And if you're trying to find some form of serious dating, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. Because everyone is traumatized. And the thing is a lot of people are getting involved in the actions and participating with things that they really shouldn't, because it's really bad for their overall development, for their overall well-being. And they're just making the pain worse and worse and worse and worse by what they choose to partake in. And therefore, when, they, are exposed to someone who has been healing for an X amount of time, and say you have been healing for an X amount of time, but you want to try dating. Listen, I'm going to break it to you. Dating, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. It's manipulation at its finest, People using people's trauma to benefit their own well-being. That's how it is, You got women playing men, men playing women. It's an ongoing process of the two. You're not going to have a successful dating life because everyone's wanting to run away from themselves. They want to run away from the trauma. They're hurt, That's all it is. It's just a bunch of wounded people, with a very big wounded inner child living inside of them, crying for help, as the source, the host where that inner child lives, is just downing a bunch of pills and alcohol and whatnot to silence the inner child from crying, and it silences it from breaking out. They want to shut up the inner child because that inner child was silenced all their upbringing. They don't even know who that inner child is, but what you don't know is that inner child is the real you. That was the very beginning of when you chose to change for the good so people would stop trying to correct you. Your inner child is silenced. What is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Okay, it's just ringing out. What the fuck is that? No, you need to turn that shit off. Jesus Christ. Damn, that light's fucking bright. But yeah, you're choosing to silence. You're choosing to just drown out that inner child, and you're just those elders, the parentals, the guardians, the teachers, whoever used to silence you. You're no better because you're drowning it out with alcohol. Your real self is crying out to you, but you are refusing to listen, so you drown it out. You silence it some more. But the thing is, the longer you continue to silence it, the worse the battle's going to be. That inner child is going to be worse and more corrupt, more demented. It's going to be even worse. So why hold off? Because we don't know any better. We were never taught. All we saw was our parentals and stuff silencing their inner child with alcohol and stuff. Oh, I'm feeling depressed today, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 You're choosing to silence it. But yeah, people in their 20s are battling their traumatic experiences. They're dealing with that wound. And the wound, and in your 20s, you have a choice to either heal that wound so you no longer have to heal anymore through your 30s and stuff. Or sometimes you'll heal faster. For me, it took 5 years, to get over a lot of it. But I'm still healing to this day because I'm still battling my old mentality, because my old mentality is all I knew back in the day. I was the environment. I was the environment that I was raised up around, grew up in. I was the environment, So overall, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but you got to continue. You have to continue to show it who's boss. If you don't show it who's boss, then you're just going to be silencing the inner child that wants freedom. Your inner child is yelling out to you, wanting you to help it. But you have a choice. Are you going to silence it with alcohol and pills and video games and just continue to shut it up? Are you going to actually sit down and listen to what your inner child is telling you? Yeah, it's going to hurt what it tells you, but you got to remember, you neglected your inner child all those years to impress those parentals, to impress those guardians, to impress whoever was nitpicking you. You were changing who you really were. You were changing your identity, and for what? You were changing it to please others. That's basically how we're raised. We're raised to please others. Please others for what, though? So they'll leave us alone and not nitpick us anymore. So when you're trying to get into a stable form of dating in your 20s, it's not going to happen. Because you should be healing. You shouldn't be focused on that. Yeah, sure, you might know the process of healing and you say you have been doing that. And maybe you want to dabble with dating on the side. But you need to remember, dating is just a form of people trying to find a host that they can run away through. That they can run away from themselves through. That's what it all boils down to. Unless you want to be a host, then I suggest getting out of that, because that lifestyle is only going to bring in more things, because you're only going to attract what you haven't healed in yourself. Therefore, all you're going to attract is a mirror of what you need to fix within yourself. And then all that's going to be showing you every single time you're with it, and every time it triggers you, you're going to constantly be reminded of what you need to fix on within yourself. Then that relationship's not going to work out. And then you're going to want to go back into the dating scene and just want to try it again. Try it again. But if you haven't fully healed yourself, you're just going to keep attracting what you need to fix within yourself. It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Because that's how it is. People in their 20s are healing, And if they're not trying to heal, they're trying to run away from themselves. Period. That's why it's best just to be the difference in the situation and just not worry about it. Because sure, when you're on the path of healing, sure, there's going to be a lot of people that like the idea of being with you, and the idea of taking care of you, and the idea of just being with you. But the thing is they don't even know how to properly do so, because you could have healed more where you are in your healing stage. That person could be way behind. So they don't even know how to properly even approach you when it comes to that, because you're not on that level of toxicity that they may be in. Sure, if you were living under high toxic levels, you can get approached all the time, and they'll know exactly how to approach you, because guess what? The approach that they did to you, they probably did to 10, 20, 30 different people. or however many people that they've had, It's the same concept because it's a repetitive cycle, you know? You want to attract better. You don't want to attract what you got to work on within yourself. You want to attract something that is at your level. But the only way you're going to do that is if you continue to build within yourself. Period. You're going to have to dodge any kind of temptation to break that cycle, because there's still going to be temptation, especially if you dabbled with stuff in your past. If you dabbled with stuff in your past, the temptation's always going to be there, but you have to be the difference within the temptation in order to continue to proceed. If you do give in your 20s to constantly indulge in comfort and running away from yourself, and continuously taking in several different partners and all that stuff, you got to look at it like a phone. You're a phone, and they are the plug-in to charge the phone, and you're going to plug them in, and you're going to take whatever excess baggage that they got, and it's just going to be like a virus infecting you, you can't clean it, because let's say you try to clean it, but some of those deep, malicious nastiness is stuck in there still, like the grime is still stuck on there, and you can't get it off because it's done created a film. Sure, you may appear to be clean and whatnot, but you still have that film over you, the yucky film that's not going to leave because you're damaged from it. You done took in someone else's baggage. And the more people that you choose to continue to interact in that manner, to get on that high form of emotional connection where they plug into you, you're going to continue to make that film dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. Sure, you can remove it all. It's just like with sexual transmitted diseases. You can go get it looked at, get it taken care of. But guess what? At the end of the day, you know that you had it. There's a film. There's a film on your screen, Sure, you might not have it now, but that film is still there, because you took in that extra baggage that other person may have had. That's what I mean. People don't understand how crucial, when it comes to, they don't understand how crucial sex is, basically. Like, it is literally connecting two people. Whatever baggage that person has, it's going into you. And whatever baggage you have, it's going on to them. They're taking it in and you're taking it in. Very, very heavy stuff to be dealing with, So whatever trauma that they had, well, guess what? You just took it. You took it too. They're spreading it to you. And then you're going to be able to attract other people just like them. Sure, it may have happened as a fling, but then you're going to be attracting someone with the same traumatic experiences. They're going to remind you of that person, and then you're going to connect with them, and then you're going to attract more people that are just like that person. And then so on and so on and so on. And the more that you continue to, attract and get involved with like that, you're just going to continue to attract. The spiral it goes down even more and more and more and more and more until you can acknowledge what damage you're doing to yourself. Now, the film will never go away, but at the end of the day, you need to be putting in the work to cleaning that screen to the best of your ability. Sure, it's not going to go away because we're all flawed. We all have our past. Some pasts are worse, But at the end of the day, you're doing everything in your power to clean. You're doing everything in your power to be as clean as possible. That's all that matters at the end of the day. That's all that matters, because at the end of the day, we're all flawed. You got to stick to it. But I tell you, though, your old mentality and the old ways that you used to react and stuff, it's not worth it. Why would you want to go back to that? What I did was I just vented it out to my friend, just informing her what I do want to say and what I do want to do and what I do want to react, how I do want to react, how I do want to respond to this, how I do want to respond to that. Just venting it out to her. And she was like telling me, James, I'm so glad that you reached out to me and vented it out through me than going to that person and venting out it to them. Because the thing is the person, they're waiting for a reaction from me. They're waiting for a reaction from me. But the thing is it's not going to happen because I refuse to go down to reveal the type of James that person don't even know, But at the end of the day, I acknowledge that the way that they responded to anything, it's on them. That goes with their battle. It has nothing to do with me. At the end of the day that you need to do is just focus on just being as kind as possible. That's it. Whatever is triggering you is showing you what you need to work on within yourself. And that was one of the reasons why I believe I attracted that person. To continuously work on that form of action to where I do want to react. I'm working on that within myself. So if I do fall into that again with another person, I won't even have tendency to react, Because when you react in belligerence, you only do more damage. You do heavier forms of damage to yourself because you're inflicting it on the innocent. And, judging by how they respond to your belligerent reaction will inflict even more damage on you because you just inflicted that amount of pain on that person who didn't do anything wrong but respond to the best of their ability to whatever it is that you brought to the table. You can't control how people respond to things. Everyone's going to respond to everything different. You have to continue to move on and do what's best for you within your day, in your life, and what makes you happy. So, it's been tough. Getting over that hill. I will admit I have relapsed. One of these nights I thought I did some severe damage to my ear. Because I was just sedating myself a little bit, with the stabbing of the ear. And, next thing I know is I'm starting to hear sounds that I've never heard before. And I'm like, oh shit. I think it's happening. Oh shit. I had to maintain calm, and just realize I did this to myself. James, you did it to yourself. You need to take it like a champ and just get over this hill. I know that it's a bad addiction that I got, and that's one of them. As for the porn, I would admit I did relapse. It's just that obstacle's been tough, but that's just an excuse. That's an excuse. But the thing is even when I have relapsed, I get back to fighting. I get right back to fighting, because I know better things are in store. I mean, sure I relapsed, That's going to happen. I'm flawed. And my addictions are usually, that's how I used to escape. It's old mentality that needs to be ditched, I can come up with every excuse in the book why I still have those addiction problems, blah, blah, blah. The thing is once you are an addict, you will always be an addict. But it's up to you to have your addiction under control to where you don't do it. And see, that's the thing with me going into environments that I'm not even used to, that I've never been exposed to in my life. Sometimes you just need that sense of comfort. And that sense of comfort can be detrimental if you continue to let it diminish your day that you have been given. See, that's the thing. I don't get out of control with it. As soon as I'm done doing what I got to do, whether it's stabbing my ears or watching porn, I do it real quick, and then I continue with my day. But at the end of the day, that stuff has an effect. It does have an effect. I will admit, it does have an effect. But I still choose to fight while dealing with that effect as well. Because I'm not going to let my addictions and my bad habits identify me, you know? You know, if it was up to old addictive James who was addicted to porn, all I would do, it's my day off. What I'm going to do, watch porn, jack off, go to sleep, and then wake up again, not even get out and eat, just to stay in bed, watch porn, jack off, go back to sleep, and just continue the process until, you know, it's time to go to work. That's how I used to do it. I was a severe addict. Severe addict. I was addicted to my dreams, addicted to porn. And, you know, I was addicted to every form of comfort that I could provide to myself, you know. It's hard to escape. It's hard to get out. The only really hard one is the stabbing of the ears, because it sedates me in a way that I just can't explain. How I still hear, I have no idea. How I still hear after that day when I was hearing noises I've never even heard before, I don't even know. But what I do know is I'll get over it. I'll overcome that hill. I'll get over that hill. You know, I will. I know I will. You just got to keep fighting. Whether you relapse or not, you have to keep fighting. Because at the end of the day, you're flawed. You're flawed. There is no such thing as perfection. We're living human beings. You know, we breathe. You know, we're imperfect. We all have a past. And with having a past, that means you have a lot of bad habits. And with bad habits, that means you have a lot of addictions. And with having a lot of addictions, that means you have a lot of bad choices that were made with those addictions or to obtain those addictions. You know, you're flawed. You're flawed. Some addictions are more easier to control, but the ones that have been with us to the very beginning of time, very beginning days. And that was the thing too. I didn't develop the stabbing of the ears until like early 20s. Early 20s, yeah, I remember early 20s. You know, I went up to the ear doctor, told him to wash my ears out, you know, because it was like every 5 years or so, my mama, she'd take me to the doctor, go get my ears cleaned. And they would put a water gun thing in my ear, and they'd soak out all the wax and stuff. But the thing is, this one guy, doctor, he told me he didn't see no wax. So he didn't see no reason to even put the water gun, and clean it all out. You know, I knew he was bullshitting me because I could hardly hear out of my fucking ears. You know, like when it got like that, I remember when I was a kid when it got that bad to where I couldn't hear because I had so much wax impacted, and this was where I couldn't hear. They just cleaned it out with the water gun, and they removed this big old clump of wax. So I knew the guy was lying. I'm not stupid. So guess what I did? I took matters in my own hands, and I got a Q-tip, and I just started cleaning it myself. And guess what? A bunch of wax was coming out. And I'm like, that motherfucker lied. Well, the thing is with me doing it in a bad, unhealthy way, and I also got the tendency because I found like a spot in my ear that I really loved how that Q-tip was hitting. And you know, it started with Q-tips, but then the Q-tips wanted to develop into other things, where it was metal objects and all that other stuff to just really get a good stab in that area to where it kind of sedate me. And I'd be just kind of like, you know, I'd kind of be like kind of a zombie in a way. I'd just be like very sedated, very feel good. You don't want to move much, you know, and you just feel really good. But the thing is you're doing more damage than anything because you're dealing with something that's like right next door to the brain. You have no idea what you're fucking up, but you're fucking it up. You know, choose your demons wisely. Some demons are worse than others. But at the end of the day, you need to still get up and fight every day. You have to. You have to. Because if you don't get up and fight, well, guess what? You're choosing to lose. And every day that you choose to lose, you're putting yourself farther back from your progress that you need to achieve. You know, you got to stay wanting to achieve. You got to stay fighting. You got to continue to stay on the right direction. And that's going to make it come to you faster. You know, once you identify all that stuff that I pointed out, Basically, people are running away from themselves. People having codependency issues to where they need a relationship all the time. They break up, get back with someone, get with someone, break up, get with someone real quick, because they constantly need that reassurance that they are secured with someone else. People like that sense of security. But really, you need to be focused on getting secure within yourself. When you become secure within yourself, you're going to attract someone who is also secure within themselves. And when you attract that, that's when you are in a real relationship. You're in a real relationship where you and the other person are continuously building themselves, and you guys are supporting each other with the differences. That's what a relationship overall is. That's what I want to attract. And, that's why I do not choose to dumb down or devalue myself to impress people who might have, stuff that inflicts old mentality. It's old mentality. It is. Because, back in the day, I was always told, you need a pretty girl. You need a pretty girl. You need a girl with these kind of looks, this kind of look. You need a girl, blah, 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 stuff that fits basically your criteria of fetishes and whatnot. You need that. You need a girl that fits what you like, fits what you like, just basically looking at them as an object. I didn't know any better, because that's all I was raised around. That's all I knew. From school, from, environments that I was in. That's all I knew. That's all it seems like a lot of people know, is everything is just sex related. It's all lust related. But see, what I was finding out is that the stuff that I developed fetish-wise in the environment that I was growing up in, that was comfort for me. For example, I remember telling my friend about this too. It's back in the day, my porn addiction was really, really bad. Because, I was exposed to porn in elementary school. So, I've always had access to it. Whereas other people, they didn't even know about it. But I did, So, at a very young age, I would develop girlfriends. And, they weren't real girlfriends. They were porn star girlfriends. And, say I'm going to be in a relationship with such and such, and I'm only going to watch her videos. That's all. I'm devoted to her. Blah, 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 blah. Just simp mentality, motherfucking bullshit, And that's basically what it was, I'd be devoted to them, and then I would end up getting bored of their videos, and then I'll go find a new one, and then I'll only have her videos. Just so on and so on and so on like that. It's very sad, especially to have that kind of problem at a young age. But also, there's nothing that you can really do about it. Nothing you could do about it. I was my environment, period. But the thing is when I got into adulthood, I'm choosing to be the difference. But the thing is when you've been battling stuff like that for so long, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. But you got to continue to choose to fight over submission, I don't want to be that person that I once was. I don't want to be the person that was created from the environments that I was, raised in and whatnot. I don't want to be that same person. I don't want to be that. I want to be the difference. The only way you're going to be the difference is if you choose to be the difference. That means you got to be able to acknowledge a lot within yourself, whether it's good or bad. You got to be able to acknowledge that. And with the bad that you can acknowledge, you got to learn how to fix that. The only way you're going to learn how to fix that is if you want to be the difference with that situation. Once you're the difference within that situation, the sky's the limit. Then you'll start finding more stuff that's wrong with you that you can identify, because you were at max capacity with what you needed to work on within yourself. But once you fix what was max capacity, more stuff comes in. You start to discover more stuff about yourself. So then you start to fix all that stuff, because it's at max capacity again, but with different things. Fix all that, and then more stuff fills up. You're always going to be working on yourself. It's a never-ending process. You just have to stick to it and continue to fight. Because if you don't continue to fight, then you're submitting. And when you submit, you only create more problems within yourself. And when there's more problems within yourself, that means the more time you're going to have to spend healing later on down the road. But, gotta just stick with it, man. You gotta stick with the fight, and you gotta choose discomfort over comfort. Because comfort will kill you. And if you're in your 20s, and you indulge in a lot of comfort, if you continue, you're going to hit your 30s. It's still going to come easy to you, because when you're 30, you're still, you haven't aged much. So therefore, you're still aging pretty well. You're at 30. But the thing is, it may still come easy to you, with that lifestyle, and you can get whatever you want because you've been doing the easy life through your 20s. Some people start early and they get it, in high school, where they can obtain all that easy stuff in high school. And then we get to college, it's even more easier because, that's when alcohol's in the mix. Heck, some people are mixing with alcohol in high school too. But once there's substance involved, people are more easier to take advantage of. And that's one thing I was discussing with my mom, is that's one thing I've always saw. It's downtown, it's just a lot of people taking advantage of one another. That's all it is. They wait till someone's super duper drunk, or they make sure that they're knocked out or something. It's just a bunch of manipulation, all in all. And I just don't want to be participating with that, because you're just creating more problems for yourself and adding trauma to another person. It's just not worth it in the end, because in the end, you're going to pay the price for whatever pain that you inflict on whatever innocent person you inflicted the pain on. And whatever pain was inflicted on you could have been, it's going to go back to that person as well, And then you're going to be stuck having to heal from whatever trauma was added to you, There is no winners in that situation. It's just temporary fulfillment. But once that temporary fulfillment is fulfilled, you're still going to be chasing a better temporary fulfillment. Because that's one thing, is when they've done had it, they get distasteful. It's like porn, it's like porn. Once you have been in some fetish thing that has got you off for so long, you want to expand your horizon, because that stuff's not getting you no more. So you want to go to something better. Your fetishes get more weird. They get more taboo. They get more demented. They just end up getting to this is completely wrong. Why do I like this? Because you have become desensitized to what was once good to you. Now you need something to trigger that same dopamine release. That was really a good feeling. But the thing is you're not attracted to what you used to. You need to advance and go into something more kinky or whatever, taboo, whatever. It's the same concept with, in real life. Once you've used one person, you done had them, you get bored. You're going to want to go find something else. And then once you had the new person, you're going to get bored. You're going to want to find something else. And, a lot of people, they do the, one night stand thing. They don't want anything else. They just need you for that one night. They'll keep in contact if you need you for another night down the road. And some people are okay with that. A lot of people are okay with that because they're playing that same game, But the thing is when you're involved in that game, whatever trauma you're adding to someone else, you're going to pay the price for whatever trauma is being added. And you don't know what their mentality is for doing what they're doing. They can just tell you what they're doing it for, and they can say that they like it all they want, but deep down, do they really? Are they really being honest with you? Because one thing that I found out, people downtown are all liars. They're all liars. They all lie to get their own gain. It's just a big old manipulation game. They want you to fall in love with the persona that they provide you, but deep down you don't even know why they do what they do, why they chose what they chose. The only person that knows that is themselves. So yeah, this one went over a little bit. Because I love talking on topics like this, and the stop at the gas station really did a kill into some time. But anyway, I'm going to sign off because I'm about to head to bed. I'm tired. But yeah, y'all stay positive. I'm out. Peace.